have so many people on, I am going to mute everyone. Sorry about that. And we'll get started. Fantastic. So excited today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our call today. We love to do these every Saturday because of the training that we get. And I think everybody is looking at trying to figure things out in regards to their health. You know, there's so much out there, and you want to know, you know, there's different scientists out there that are having a lot to say. There's a lot of people working in the health field, and you kind of start to think, I wonder what they are doing. What do they do for their health? And so today we have a guest speaker on who I'm super excited to have on here, because not only is he a scientist and studying about health, he has been working with Olympians and helping to get them live the top performance that they need. And we want to know what he is doing and what he is recommending for people's health. So it doesn't matter if you are looking at health for yourself or your loved ones, or because you want to be living your top performance life as a professional athlete. This is actually the call you want to be listening into and watching. So let's bring him on here. One of our scientific advisors, Dr. Colin Robertson. Welcome, Colin.
Good to be here. Good to be back here. Thank you very much, Carla, for inviting me, for having me again. I always look forward to our conversations. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, this one is really important because I think so many people are out there looking to see what is the best. I mean, you go out and there's so many things. I mean, you can't even scroll on social media and there's so much that are saying, do this for optimal health. Do this so that you look better. Do this for everything. And how do we really know? Now, you're not only, let's kind of just say a little bit about your background, because you not only are a scientist, but you have been training these Olympians to have top performance too. Could you say just a little bit about your background?
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to. So I spent most of the past 3 decades really have been in high performance sport. And I've been very privileged to work across multiple types of sport. And the Olympics is the one that always stirs most people kind of imagination, because it's one of the biggest events on the world when it comes to sport. And I was very fortunate that I was involved in preparing and managing athletes who took part in the Beijing Games in London, which was a huge experience being down here in London throughout that summer. And, and Team GB had an incredible performance, and some of the athletes I worked with, thankfully. And then Rio, rolled that into Rio, working with some athletes. Rio was a particularly passionate one for me, because when you come to the Olympics, you have what we call pathway. And an athlete might start the pathway, and they're quite young, and they've got a lot of promise. They've been brought in through talent identification, and they've been shown to have real potential. And I won't name names, but 2 of my athletes who I'd met when they were children, when their parents would bring them to strength sessions and come to nutrition consultations, and they were just children. And I'd watch them grow as people, as individuals, gain confidence as athletes. And then to be at Rio and in the arena and watch them compete and race and take home medals was, I don't think there's anything that's comparable to that experience. And then Tokyo. So I had a little bit of an involvement with some of the kind of scientific planning and preparation, because I'm an environmental physiologist. So a lot of times when an athlete is going to travel, so cross multiple time zones, we have to factor that in to their adaptation, how they're going to acclimatize, get ready to do. And so I was involved in that. So everything from being a strength and conditioning coach, exercise physiologist, nutritionist, scientific advisory, across those 4 Olympic pathways. But personally, if I can indulge for a moment, my sport as a young man was always rugby. And I've been really privileged to work in rugby at every level, national and international. As someone with a bit of a restless and adventurous spirit, I've trained and supported people to climb Everest, to do Marathon des Sables, North Pole treks. I've got a team of people working in the Antarctic at the moment, row across the Atlantic. You name it. Whenever someone decides they want to go into an environment that is difficult to survive in, then they get people like me involved. So all aspects of human performance, and right in the middle of that, and actually throughout, because my fascination has always been, the meaning of life and in enabling people to live well and have this experience of life. I spent some time clinically, and I learned and was so richly rewarded working clinically that I never left it behind. So I did 6 years front-facing, working in cardiac rehabilitation, cancer, pulmonary, musculoskeletal, neuro. And then once I left that and went back to sport more full-time and research, I maintained my active participation. And that's why I was a part of global health strategies, such as Cities Changing Diabetes, GM Health Innovations, those kind of things, because once I'd been there, it wasn't something I was prepared to give up on. So yeah, from the Olympics to the hospital bed, that's my story. Really.
Oh, okay. So it does sound a little, I think you could see people's jaws dropping because they're like, okay, he has done all of that. And so is the expert in your field in regards to nutrition and optimal health. So I just announced you as one of the scientific advisors of Zinzino. So we want to how did we get to there? Because you got started knowing all of this. So just to hear a little bit about how did you get to helping us, moms of four kids and 2 grandchildren, helping us with our optimal health? How did you get here?
Well, that's always been the passion. So I love sport, but sport, and I was going to apologize. I'm not going to apologize. Anyone who's really passionate about sport, I'm really passionate about sport. I love sport. But, and this is the comment that might upset you, it is just entertainment. It's amazing and I love it. I can do it and watch it all day. I'm passionate about sport, but it's just entertainment. I think it's incredible, but that's what it is. Whereas life and health, that's everything that matters. And I think there's a real accountability and responsibility to our understanding. And for me, it never sat well that we would learn all of these processes and principles with regards to how we can nurture physical performance, sports performance, human health, and only apply that to the tiniest part of the population who are just good at sport. I've always thought that's a crime. And I've never been comfortable with it. And my ambition and my mission has always been, we need to take the best evidence and we need to give it to people so that they can use it, they can make positive changes to their life and live well. That's it. I just want people to live well, because for billions of years, there was nothing. And we've all got different take on what might have been before, but there was nothing. And then there's this life that we get, 70, 80, 90 years, and then there's nothing again. And so I want everybody in the world to cherish this bit and see it for the absolute miracle that it is and the experience that it is, and live well and walk up and run up every hill, dive in the ocean, run on the beaches, fall in love, laugh, taste amazing foods, experience life, and for as long as possible. And that can only be achieved when you're healthy and well. And so that's what my mission is. And so actually the 40-year-old woman, the 50-year-old man, the 10-year-old child, they're the people I'm most concerned with. They're the people I want to reach. And that's why I'm at Zinzino, because I want to reach as many people as I possibly can and help them to live well, and actually help them to ignore the pseudoscience and the people who are just saying, a lot based on a little bit of information, and just give them really easy solutions to live better, do better, have a better life experience for as long as possible, and celebrate the miracle that is life on a daily basis. That's my mission. That's why I'm at Zinzino.
So what is it about Zinzino? Because like I can tell you, I also got started because it changed my son, Colin. And then you start diving into what this all means and how this is working. But you as a scientist, you as somebody who is an expert in this, what did you see in Zinzino that really attracted you to this?
Yeah, that's what I saw, Carla, was the quality of the science. Because I'm a scientist through and through. I'm very fact-based, and that can actually sometimes make me seem a little bit cold. I'm very kind of information and evidence-based led, and that informs my decision-making. And there are a lot of people who are functioning in the health space commercially for good reasons. There are some good people out there, but it's also, to me, it's the most abused area of commercial activity. And so I've always been a little bit cynical of it. That's on record. I'm sure people could unearth videos of me making that kind of comment. But when Zinzino, and maybe people don't know, and I'll explain it in a moment, but when Zinzino got put on my radar, when someone said, have a look at this, I expected it to take 3 minutes and never have to look at it again. What's it mean? I don't even know what it is. I'll explain that in a moment. But for me, it was the science and also the reach, because what we had was a company that was not only trying to actually, they were actually doing things what I would call best practice. So the first thing that they were doing is that they were encouraging people to take an assessment, see where you're at, find out what is the state of your cellular health, and then make an informed decision about it. And for sure, they had a product that they were offering to bring about that fix. That to me is okay as long as the science is good. If the science is objective and impartial and done at a good standard, and then what they are offering is measurably good and meets with what we understand from nutritional science and research, that's the perfect marriage. And actually, I was at a conference in America. I was in Philadelphia in 2019. And at that conference, I was given a keynote presentation. And one of the more challenging statements I made towards the end of my presentation was, we have, in the 21st century, we have the technology to do food better. There are multiple crimes of health going on around us. We have the means, we have the technology, we can do food better. Why doesn't somebody with a bit of morality just step up and do it? Why has it always got to be about the bottom line and big margins and taking advantage of people? Why can't anyone just step forward and just with morality and decency go, let's just do it really well? And so I flew home from Philadelphia in the October 2019. And then, as you'll all remember, the world went crazy at the start of the 2020. And then April, I was actually at home like a lot of people. COVID had surrendered me housebound because of everything that we're having to do for lockdowns. And I was working on an omega-3 project as a part of one of the health, international health research groups I was in. And the problem should have been easy to fix. So the World Health Organization had published a series of articles, one of which estimated that there was a global deficiency of omega-3 that was affecting 6.3 billion people. The second part of this was that for a long time now, our attention had been drawn towards the risk of developing a non-communicable disease and how that correlates to the percentage of what your omega-3 is, as in how much of your total fat is derived from omega-3. And importantly, it's the marine-based omega-3, so the DHA and the EPA. And we have a huge issue because it's an essential fat, polyunsaturated fatty acid. It's essential. Zinzino didn't call it essential. It's nutritionally regarded as essential. We have essential amino acids. This is the stuff that your muscles and your hair and stuff is made of. And then we have the essential fats. And so part of my research task was to go, what's the solution? How do we fix this? How do we get people to have enough in their diet? And obviously, my background, my mum was from Dublin, my dad was from Glasgow. I grew up from Dublin to Liverpool. And even back then, in the 70s, my mum took a cod liver oil capsule. There was an understanding that you needed to have this and add it to your diet as a supplement. And my mum wasn't health-centric. She wasn't interested in sport. It was just made sense, like one of those things you take. And so I thought, this is easy. We'll just go and look at it's a huge industry. We'll go and have a look at the omega-3, the fish oil industry. We can fix this in a week. And so I started to look at the literature and the research around that area. I realized how hot the debate was. And then I happened upon the 2018 Cochrane Systematic Review. And for those of you who don't know, Cochrane is a really high standard of analysis. And they look at 79 trials. Off the top of my head, I think there's 112,000 participants in the studies that met the quality required for a review. And the conclusion was fish oil doesn't work. Standard fish oil doesn't change index, makes no difference, doesn't reduce the cardiac risk. And so the fateful day was a really lovely, warm, bright April day. I was working at my computer at home in my home study. And I always explain this because if I'm working on something, I don't answer messages, I don't answer emails, I just work, don't pick up the phone. But the phone rang, and it was an old friend of mine who at the time was working for the American company Under Armour. And I'd done some work with them in the past. And Tony was really high up in the organization at that time. And he'd had some health issues of his own previously and had really switched on to looking at what he could do better and how. And his physician over in the States had said to him, you need to address your omega-3 deficiency. And he said, and what you need to take is Zinzino. He said, they have a product called balance oil. That's the one you need to take. He said, they have a test, do the test, take the oil. It's the only one that works. And so Tony, for some reason, I was so frustrated because I knew I couldn't get everyone to eat fish. Any nutritionists that are on here, I'm with you. I spent a long time stood on my soapbox saying to people all the information that was right. Move to a whole food diet. Reduce your reliance on processed foods. Eliminate your ultra-processed foods. Get your sugar down. Limit your takeaways. All that stuff. And we're right to say that. But the whole time we've been saying that, if you're anywhere near my age, have a look around you. It's all got worse. And I'm sure you've got one or two case studies. There's people go, yeah, but it was brilliant. Barbara made excellent success and now she does yoga every day. And, great. We've all got those ones or two studies. But whilst we were working on those ones or twos, millions more people every year were becoming overweight and obese, developing type 2 diabetes. The impact on non-communicable diseases was not only increasing, but they were happening younger. So we have to take accountability for that. Being right wasn't effective. It was just we were right. And so I knew we couldn't do it. And also we can't do it from an ecological sustainability point of view, because the reality is, and this is to crush another myth, for you to get enough of the marine-based omega-3 in your diet to not only get you into ratio and index and stay there, you really would have to be eating some fresh, line-caught, fatty fish of good nutrient density pretty much every day of the week. If not every day, most days. Let's say 5 days of the week. So most people can't afford that. Most people don't have access to that. But I'll tell you what can't afford that is the planet. Because there's 8 billion of us. And it's okay to look at a problem if you're just thinking of your family and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I need 5 fish. No problem. But when you're in my kind of role, I'm thinking of a global population. I can't pull 8 billion fish out the sea every day. So that's just never going to work. Those days are gone, and we can reminisce and we can fantasize about them, but they're gone. 100 years ago, there was 2 billion. Now there's 8 billion. And so I answered the phone because I was frustrated. I couldn't think of how I was going to address this problem. And I'll never forget this. Tony said to me, "Hi, Carl, how are you doing? You know, the world's gone crazy. How are you getting on?" He said, "You're my go-to person. Someone's given me some nutrition advice." He said, "But if I want you to look at it," he said, "because if it's rubbish, I'm not going to take it." And I said, okay. And Tony and I go way back. "What is it?" And he said, "What do you know about omega-3? I said, "Well, funnily enough, I know a fair bit about omega-3 right now." And he said, and I said, "If you're going to tell me someone has recommended a supplement, a fish oil, let me tell you now, it won't work. I wish it did." And he said, "Well, no, there's more to it than that." He said, it's this Scandinavian company. He said, "And they actually do a test." And I went, "Yeah, of course they do. You know, it's the oldest trick in the book. It's the snake oil trick. You know, do the test. Everything's terrible. I give you the wonder snake oil, and then miraculously everything's better." And he said, no. He said, "You know, this physician over here in the States, he's the one who's recommended it. Apparently this test is," he said to me, "it's the Trondheim test." Now, that captured my interest because not many people know about this. Trondheim is an institute in Sweden, and they have this excellent output when it comes to research. And the Trondheim test is a fatty acid profile test. It's a blood fatty acid profile test that, since they established it and published it, became the standard. That's how you do that analysis. So even the fact that he knew that word was really interesting. So I said, okay. And he said, "Will you have a look at it for me? It's called Zinzino." And I said, "Never heard of them." I said, "Okay, what does that mean?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "But have a look at the website." And so I thought, okay, it's going to be a load of rubbish, but it's Tony, so I'll have a look. And I clicked on the page and I went to the test. And then I saw that it was the Trondheim test. It was that method, but it was getting conducted, and the test was actually run by the Vitas lab in Norway. Now, the only way I can explain this to you that you might relate to better is it's Vitas are to the scientific world what Real Madrid are to the football world. If you don't know anything, you know that this is a phenomenal club. You know, it's just a given straight away. You go, wow. And so I thought to myself, if there's a company who are saying that Vitas do their tests, that's a bold claim to make if it's not true. Because Vitas, they partner with Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, Cambridge, over here in the UK, the National Health Service. You know, these are big players. And it's written all over the website that they do all of their objective, anonymous analysis of the fatty acids. I thought, wow. So I gave them a call. I thought, I can't trust the website. You can put whatever you want on a website. If you don't believe me, look at Wikipedia. And I gave them a call. And I said, explained who I was. At that time, I was the lab director for the Queen's Laboratory in Greater Manchester. And I said, look, I'm on your website. I'm interested in the test you offer. And there is an organization called Zinzino who are claiming that you do these tests for them. And the person on the phone said, yeah, they're one of our biggest customers. I was like, wow. So then my interest was really piqued. So I put the phone down and I thought, right. And I apologize, I'm taking a long time here, but bear with me. I thought, right, I need to look at this product now, this wonder product, because I know fish oil doesn't work. So why would this one work? And I loaded up the screen, balance oil. And I've described this so many times, but I had the eureka moment. I had the epiphany. I had the moment where I went, oh, this is so obvious. It's so simple. But why has nobody else done this? Because what they'd done is that they'd looked at a grade of fish oil and vegan oil, and they had a water-based one. So I was going, this is incredible. But they had rebounded to a high phytonutrient polyphenol. So they put back the natural component that the essential refining had taken away. I didn't need to read anything. Straight away, I understood the biochemistry at large. I'm not formally a cellular biologist, but it's a big, keen area of mine. It's been something that I've been fascinated with and studied throughout my entire career. And so straight away, it made sense. This the polyphenol acts as the chaperone. That's what happens if you eat it from the fish, if we derive it from the algae, if you get a different type of omega-3 from, say, a walnut. Again, it's this protective factor. This protects it from the air. It protects it most importantly when we digest it. So when it gets through the stomach and then into the gut, which means it will have the opportunity to be active at a cellular level. And then I straight away, I leaped back to October 2019 in Philadelphia saying, why doesn't someone just do it properly? And I thought, wow, here they are, hiding, as far as I was concerned, all this time, a company with standards. And then I started to look at how they communicated their message. It was a company with standards, and it was a company with morals, who were trying to improve health on an international scale. And they were trying to do it by empowering people's understanding and their capacity to make an informed choice. And so I rung Tony back and I said, Tony, I thought this would take me 2 minutes. It's going to take me days. It looked really promising. That's what I'll say. But I want to spend more time looking at it. And so I did. And I still wanted it. I didn't want it. I wanted it to be great. But I was still very skeptical. And so I thought, let's have a look. And I'd realized it was direct selling. So I thought, they've probably got 1 billion products. And I realized they didn't. They only had a handful. And then I thought, everybody is awful at making a multivitamin. They'll have one and it'll be awful. And so I rooted out the multivitamin, the Extend, and Extend Plus. And I thought anybody who's prepared to apply that much intelligence and consideration to a multivitamin, to hit those recommended daily allowances, to look at how they function synergistically, to consider, and not enough people consider this, Zinzino has a Extend, which does use synthetics, and it has a naturally derived. And some people might go, why would you do that? I'll tell you why. A lot of people in the world are more reactive and intolerant of natural products than they are synthetics. And so what you do is you provide a solution for both. If you have no known problems or interactions or allergies to a natural, you go for the plus, you go for all naturally derived. But if you do, you've got a company here who can still reach you, and they can give you one that has made some compromises and added some synthetics. And then, there are ones in there that the less informed would prompt a reaction. They got cyanocobalamin in there. Why would you do that? Well, because it's about total amounts and synergistic effect, and actually the amount that's in there. And this was all my reasoning before I'd even spoke to anyone from Zinzino. The amount that's in there and the synergistic effect of the other formulation means that that'll be a positive active and is going to play a really positive role in someone's dietary health, with next to zero risk of any of these things that people are concerned with that, because it's not the methylated form. And so I thought, wow, they're here. And it was no surprise to me that they were Scandinavian, because we all know the Scandinavians, if they do anything, they do it to the nth degree. They're so driven by quality and standards. And so as those days rolled by, I spoke to Tony. I said, take it, get on board, do the test. I spoke to other people personally. I spoke to colleagues of mine who are working in high performance sport, who've been looking for an omega-3 strategy for 20 years. I was like, we found it. I found the product you need. Here it is. And it was the first time in my career ever. And remember, no one was paying me. No one was paying me to promote them. No one at Zinzino even knew I existed. But it was the first time in my career that I was saying to people, not only you need this nutrient, but I was saying you need this, but this is the brand. This is the one you have to take, because the others don't work, or they can't prove they work, whereas this one we can. And for me, it was exciting, because I knew this didn't mean we were going to reach 6.3 billion people overnight. But for me, the problem we always have is what happened in the research typically takes about 12 to 15 years to make a difference to what happens in the world. And here was a company that was plugging the research straight in and making a difference that year. They would innovate, they would take the evidence base, they would create and formulate a product and make it available to the world in 9 months. And I thought that's the exciting part.
And that's really exciting, Dr. Colin, especially because you are recommending this even when you had nothing to do with the company. So now I'm sure people are thinking, so how did you end up over with Zinzino? What came next?
Well, I don't know if you know, I don't know if other people on here know, but there is a very powerful lady called Rebecca. And she had spoken to Tony and Tony's wife, and they were getting the products and buying things. And that group started saying to me, could you just come on 10 or 15 minutes and just explain a bit of science to people? We've got all these people who'd like to join a call. And I was at home. Working time was more flexible. I was excited about this. I'd found, the golden goose. And so I was like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm happy to, because, if this is going to help people, fantastic, for sure. And then it went from going, can you do this call on a Tuesday night, to going, oh, can you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? And then over the course of a month, they kept saying, oh, can you speak? Can you come? Can you? And it was just, and it got to a point where I had to go, listen, I love what you do. I think it's incredible. However, I've got a career and a job, and I've really got to focus on other things that I do. And, I wish you all the best, and give me a shout in maybe 6 months' time. And, if I've got a free evening, of course, I'll come on and I'll chat. And I was really enjoying the chat because it was putting me in front of real people who had real questions. And I was really enjoying that, touching base with people all over the country and all over the world and talking science. One thing you all need to know is that us science geeks, we can't talk about what we like enough. Give us the chance to talk about science and we will chew your ear off. Never start a conversation with us at a party because you get trapped. And so I was enjoying it, but it was taking a lot of time. And then so it went quiet for a couple of weeks. I was obviously taking the products myself, and at home, my family were all taking the products, and I knew more and more friends were. And then suddenly I just got a phone call. In fact, let me tell you this bit, because it's quite funny, this. So I got a phone call off Rebecca, and Rebecca said, listen, people at head office have seen some of your presentations, and they'd really like to speak to you. They're really interested in what you do and how you communicate it. Would you be open to a conversation? And I said, sure. And then she said, okay. So then the next thing, I got invited to be on a Zoom call with Orion and Doug. And I knew nothing. So I knew that Orion was a founder of it and Doug was the CEO. I'd spoken to lots of CEOs and people in the past. So I just thought, we'll have a chat. And I got on that call, and it was like speaking to people who I'd known for a couple of years. There was a lot of joking, a lot of laughter, and then it switched. And Orion was asking me lots of sciencey questions, particularly about certain nutrients, vitamin D, what I thought about certain health issues. We talked a lot about type 2 diabetes. We had this really kind of health-centric chat. And Doug was in the background smiling, and every now and then he'd say something to provoke me. And I was thinking, who's this guy? And he'd say these little bits to go, yeah, but, and, people like you always say that. I remember sitting at home thinking, this chat's interesting, but what's this guy up to? And then they went, would you speak to who was at that time and is sorely missed, would you speak to our chief product officer, Henrik Schultz? And I was like, sure. And I wasn't really sure where any of this was leading. I actually, if I'm honest with you, I thought they wanted me to do a little bit of consultancy, maybe do a few talks for them, and that was it. So I spoke to Henrik and Ida, and we had the best hour. It was like meeting old friends, and we were chatting about product development and innovation. And Henrik was just incredible, and Ida is this powerhouse of information. And I came off that call going, wow, these people are amazing. It's no wonder to me that the company is in such a place in what they do, because the people there are just phenomenal. And in between all that, I'd had a Zoom chat to Paul Clayton, and him and I had a really good scientific debate. It was really interesting and fascinating. We really got to the heart of some things that I was more kind of questioning about. So that you need that backstory, because then nothing. So there must have been 3 weeks. And back here at home, lockdown lifted and the universities opened. And so they said to us, you can come back and open your lab. And so it was a Monday morning, and it was September. And it was the first time I'd stepped foot on the campus and opened the laboratory for six and a half months. And all our team were there, and all our lab technicians and our academics. And I was bringing everyone together to talk to them about how we were going to go through calibration and get the lab up and functioning again. And my phone is buzzing away. And I'm looking at it, and it just says Norway, a number I don't recognize. I went, excuse me. I went out into the corridor and I answered it, and it was Doug. And he said, hi, we'd like you to come out to Sweden. I said, okay. I said, when would you like me to come? He said, tomorrow. I was like, I don't know if I can make that happen. He said, no. He said, just book a flight. We'll pay for it. We'll sort a hotel. Come and spend a few days with us. It'll be great. And so I got on the computer, had a look, and I rung him back. So I can't come tomorrow. I said, but I can fly out Wednesday. He went, brilliant. Get here Wednesday and come and spend a few days with us at head office. Let's have a real chat and see where we're at. And I remember thinking, when I was planning this, because I had a great job. I was really fulfilled as a researcher, and I had no real plan of any kind of dramatic change. And then I remember booking the flight and going, this is a life change moment. I could already see it happening. I could feel it in my heart. I was like, life is going to change forever. If you take this flight, your life is going to change. And I flew out on the Wednesday, and I remember getting to the head office, which is incredible, by the way, and the lift door opening, and Henrik Schultz was there with the biggest smile in the world. And he embraced me and welcomed me in, and sat on the couch in the open plan part of the office was Doug and Jacob. And it was like meeting people I'd known all my life. We sat and we chatted and we joked and we had fun and and they were poking fun at me. Literally just sat down. And then I spent 3 days at head office, and I got to the real heart of them. And Doug and I that night went for about a 12-kilometer walk where we were chatting everything through, and we turned every stone. And he asked me lots of questions, and I asked him lots of questions. And by the time I got to the Saturday morning when I was flying home, I knew. I was like, this is going to be a huge part of how I move forward, because with these people and through this model, we can really change health. We can empower people to not just think about health, not have concepts of health, not have the challenge of overhauling an entire diet. We can empower people with something that will start to make things better from the minute they start to take it. And I thought, this is it. This is kind of, I've said this to Vivek, and I've said this to Orion and Doug. They kind of gave me my vocation back. They put my vocation back into my profession. It made me realize, we can really change things. We don't need to be at an academic institute, don't need to be in the laboratory. We need to be here. We need to be talking to people, and we need to be reassuring people and supporting people and empowering people and giving them something authentic, something real that can actually make a measurable difference to their experience of life. Wow. And so
I love that. I love it. And I think everybody here is actually moved by that. And do you think, because when you got attracted to Zinzino, because you could see the products were working, and it was test-based, and how, the products work together for optimal health, do you think that's why we're having so many people being attracted to Zinzino? I mean, we are having top athletes, top professionals, even before you were there, but even there's so many of them coming to be brand ambassadors to really get their optimal health too. Do you think that's what's happening? People are attracted to it?
I think people like authentic people, especially in the modern world, because bear with me a minute, folks. There is so much that is fake in the world. There are so many false promises, and there are so many self-created gurus. People see something that's real and authentic, and that has stood the test of time and science and stacks up against every metric that you might challenge it. And it's that rock in the river. You latch onto it. You go, I found my safe space. This is the real thing. This is going to make a difference to my situation. And so I think that's why, because anyone who knows anything, you only need to know a tiny amount. And that's all I encourage anyone to understand. Then you know the difference. And if you know that with that tiny little bit of understanding, that allows you to differentiate and go, okay, that's why this will work for me and why it matters. And the reason why it matters, and this goes back to my cellular biology passion, something that I've never given up ever since I was an undergraduate. I was fascinated when I first looked at the cell under a microscope and replicated actually a very famous experiment. I've never lost my sense of awe and wonder about the cell. And if you understand just this one simple thing, that whilst you get to see the whole, you get to see all of this together, what you really are 37 trillion cells vibrating in the same space for a lifespan. And if you think of your body like the house that you're going to live in for sure for the next 80 years, treat it that way. Treat it like it's the house you're going to live in for the next 80 years. And recognize that all you are, or the miracle of what you are, is those 37 trillion cells vibrating at the same pace for that duration. You know this. If you look after them, they'll look after you. And if you look after that space you're going to live in, you're going to have a nice space to exist in. It's as simple as that. And cellular health starts by creating the right cellular environment. And that cell membrane is a lipid membrane. It's a work of, it's miraculous. It really is. And if you just make sure that's balanced, and all life is about balance, homeostasis is the dynamic art of equilibrium. That's a fundamental of biology. If that is balanced, if we get that omega right, that's 6:3, that ratio, if we have enough total as a percentage, and I encourage you all to aim towards 10%, not 8%, then we have balance. And we're starting to contribute towards a biological, physiological environment that is primed for success. And then you can start to work on other aspects of the space you want to live in for the next 80 years.
So I think that it's like healthy cells, healthy body. Simple as that. And that's what it's doing.
That's what you're made of. That is literally what you are. And so, but it's all right talking about these things almost philosophically. People will be right to go, okay, but so what? And our so what's really powerful, because we go, so what? So take a test, see what state your house is in, and if it needs improving and you want to sustainably and keep it well, then take this product, which is proven. We always look on a Friday, but Friday was crazy. But I think we're approaching 920,000 independently analyzed and verified samples in our database. It is the biggest database of its type in the world. We will reach the 1 million mark by the summer. It's big data. And what we see is the epidemiology. We see how the world is with regards to those ratios and that index. But more importantly for us, we're able to track that first test and the second test. And we can see the change that happens against a validated, really strict, rigorous, high standard test that's conducted for us by the VTest labs. And for the majority of people, and I do mean the majority, within the 120 days, plus or minus 10 days, that it takes for your red blood cell count to turn over, we can go from being way out of ratio and not in index to comfortably in index and at a good ratio. And then all we need to do is just stay there. Remember, you're the outcome of what you do most often. That's what you are. You're the outcome of what you do most often. So repeat your good behaviors. And guess what? You get better and you stay better. Just repeat it. Put it on repeat. Because one of the things that always amazes me, and I apologize to anyone who's heard me talk about it this way before, but people will say, well, how long should I take it for? Should I take balance oil for 2 months and then have a break? And to me, as a nutritionist, I always think that's crazy. It's kind of like saying, okay, so are you just going to drink your water in January and then the rest of the year just take a break? Because I drunk all my water in January. But it's essential. Your 67% of your body is water. It's the superhighway of every process. It's essential. Omega-3 is essential. So it should be a daily part, particularly if you've got a strategy you can rely on. And so to me, we can't share this message enough. We have to get in front of as many people as we can. We need to win as many hearts and minds as we can, because seeing isn't always believing, but feeling, experiencing is believing. And that's the moment, is when people experience the benefit. Because some people, sorry, go on.
So is this for everybody, Dr. Colin? I mean, you were talking about how, you were nutritionalist for high performance. So you recommend this for people that are athletes that are working on their high performance, but you're also saying absolutely everybody. Where is the measurement from?
No, it's more important for athletes are just humans. It's important for everyone. I am and still am. I'm proudly working the nutrition space for athletes. But remember as well, I spent 6 years clinically helping people to lose weight because they had to have life-saving operations. So we had to get the weight down so they could go under anesthesia, helping people to manage their diet in the wake of having had cardiovascular disease, heart attack, neurological conditions like stroke, managing, working on strategies around type 2, reduction of weight. So I've equally, my time has been spent looking at what we call general population dietary behavior and health. And that's actually, forget the fact you're an athlete, just remember you're a human. And this nutritional component is for all humans. Then the fact that you're an athlete just means we need to change the strategy a little bit. Not that it's more important to you than it is to everyone else. It's important to all of us. It's important to every single person on the planet. It's just when it comes to an athlete, we need to tweak it a little bit because they use more of the fats as fuel, and they have more frequent inflammatory markers because of the nature of their training. So that's where it gets sports sciencey. But for health, it's an essential fat because it's essential for human health. That's why it's essential fat. So the athletes are like 0.0001% of the global population. Remember, the article from the World Health Organization was talking then about 6.3 billion people were deficient in omega-3. So we're talking about global health, not sports science. That's just a facet of it.
Okay, so just to hear, what do you take, Dr. Colin, of the Zinzino products? You take balance oil?
It won't surprise you at all. I'm really strict about the health protocol. I think, to me, the health protocol is just it's where art meets science. It's like perfect. So I take protocol. So I take balance oil. I take xenobiotic. Xenobiotic, by the way, is one of the most profound and important products that Zinzino make. It's incredible. Those dietary fibers are essential. The gut is the center of the human universe. I say that all the time, and I say it all the time because it's true. When you get the gut environment right, so you're nurturing the good bacteria, and you're increasing, to simplify it, and anybody who's really fixed on the gut microbiota and microbiome, apologies, I'm just going to go straight to the basics of it because it is a complicated situation. But typically, the really compelling research, and where there is almost consensus, shows that where we nurture that gut bacteria and we increase the rate at which the body develops the biturate, and we have a good amount of good gut diversity, then what we have, because remember 70% of the immune system is in the gut, then what we have is we have a fully functioning gut environment. This aids and increases absorption of other nutrients that we take on board, which is a critical consideration. It reduces a lot of symptoms that are associated to gut disorder. And what you create then is you create the superhighway for health because the gut is right. And then what I add to that, and it varies for me. I have most days at least to extend. But if I'm traveling, if I'm over in Sweden and there's been some in the chat, these are the countries that I get to visit very regularly. I also take Protect, which tops up my vitamin D and my vitamin C because I'm just under a little bit more stress with travel and all those kind of things. So every day, balance oil, prebiotic, xenobiotic, and my Extend. Also every day, but only because I exercise every day, I take Lean Shake. I love Lean Shake. We're actually reformulating Lean Shake at the minute. We're going to make something amazing, even better. But yeah, in fact, my bad, just I could pull out Lean Shake Saturday. I don't go anywhere without Lean Shake. And if I've finished a run, if I've finished a strength session, if I've been on the bike, if I've come out the ocean swimming, I have a Lean Shake. It's my go. I love Lean Shake. It's such a good product. So they're my staples. They're my staples personally, but I'm really strict. There's not a day goes by that I don't have balance oil, xenobiotic, and Extend every day.
So health protocol is what you take every day, and you would say it's for everybody, including those athletes, but absolutely everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love that. So I got one more question for you as our time is going here. So what do you see in the future for Zinzino?
What do I see in the future? There's two sides to that, and one side is less of my kind of part of the story. So as an organization with regards to its growth and its profile and its impact, I mean, it's really clear to see that that's on an upward trajectory, and it's rapidly approaching in my mind. If I look at this objectively, this is not my area, but you can see it starting to hit those tipping points where you start to get accelerated reach and recognition. And so I can see that for sure, because so many key people are starting to pay attention to what we do and how we do it. I mean, just 2 days ago, literally 2 days ago, Thursday night, I was doing a talk live to Athens, speaking to the Greek Olympic Committee, because they're getting on board with it. So the nature and the level of the people who are paying attention and just want the product. They're not looking for us to give it to free. They just want the product and want to know how to take it. The health group, more now. Every time I get asked to do a big event somewhere in the world, I've got 2 coming up, they'll say, we've got all these doctors and health specialists who are coming. They want to do a 3-hour seminar. So you can really see those wheels turning from that point of view. And that's changed in my 2 years and 2 months. From a product point of view, which is where I sit, it's really fascinating because we are pioneers. And when you're at the front, you have the clarity of being able to see. For sure, you have to clear the pathway a little bit because no one's been that way before. But we have the opportunity to see. We have a unique global network of academics and researchers and practitioners who we engage with and we consult. And so I would say that we're currently actively going through a process of, I don't know if I've explained this before, but we work in 3 groups. So we have evaluation, we have innovation, which is when we're looking at it. And they're two of the groups that really make it. And then we have evolution. So evaluation, evaluate what we do, innovate, bring something new, and evolve. That ties into our Kaizen mindset. How can we do things better? And I'd say the theme for us this year is very much, because we've done a lot of evaluation, is innovation, but some of that innovation is a part of the evolution story. But evolution for sure. So we're looking at reformulation of being able to do certain products better. And that's interesting because at the moment I'll get emails and someone will say, why don't you have this in there? And I'm not licensed to say what we're doing, but I find it interesting because, oh, that's interesting because we're thinking of doing that. So it's, those emails that they're as entertaining and reassuring as they can be frustrating. So yeah, subtle innovation for this year, clever evolution for this year. But I promise you now, and I wouldn't make this promise if I couldn't back it up, but what will start to emerge towards the end of 2023 and into 2024 is going to be every bit as game-changing as the balance test. That's what I'd say. And that's really gonna be where you see Zinzino just spring, because what we're about to bring in, and we have to take our time and do it right. But what's on that trajectory, it's gonna blow people's minds, Carla. We're going to blow people's minds.
You're already blowing our minds, Dr. Colin. And I know that, Zinzino is going to be leading the way and helping people with health. And I think everybody can feel your passion for wanting to make that difference and that change for people, inspire change in life. Kaizen, always getting better. And I think Zinzino is going to lead the way and is really making the impact from my son, who it changed my life. And now we, together with the people that are working through this and the corporate team, including yourself, really making that difference. That's what I think I see, or what inspires me the most, is to really help people make a change in their health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, I promise you now, that's everything that motivates me. But I reassure you all, because I was very sensitive to this. When I was first figuring out what the organization was about, what their values were like, what was really motivating and driving them, I wouldn't cope well in a savagely commercial environment, because I'm not wired that way. I care far more about other things. And I can assure you, from the top all the way through to the person who delivers the mail, everybody at Zinzino is driven by the same values. Orion, Hilda, Doug, when you look across it, we never lose sight of the goal, of the dream, which is to do health better, right the way through. And I think that echoes in people like yourself, Carla, and there are a few names on here that I know. I mean, Sue is incredible for this, Dave and Sean, who I can see on there. When you spend time around these people and you see how real it is for them, why it matters to them. These are people who wear not only their heart on their sleeve, but their soul is around them and the mission that they're on. Sue, if you ever get a chance, Sue's personal story is unbelievable. And that's what motivates people. That's what drives people forward. And honestly, I mean, there's a ton of people here, and I'm sure you're all incredible, but I'm just speaking about the ones I can see and I know. Dave and Sean are two people who I love the very essence of. They are, oh my Lord, if we had just 100 people like them in the world would be a different experience for everyone. Stick Dave and Sean's in charge of big things in the world all over, and we'd all be living in paradise. That's what I'd say.
Well, it's also people like you, Dr. Colin, who are really making that difference for all of us. And yes, we are a handful of people here, well, actually a couple hundred people on here, that that's the numbers. And I do see the people that we're going to be impacting, and a lot of numbers, almost 1 million tests now, but every number has a name, and every name has a story, and every story matters. So I'm looking forward to the future. And if the products are good enough for you, Dr. Colin, I think they're good enough for us and all of us. But we're looking forward to the future and really making this impact of changing people's health. I think that's going to be our mission, what Zinzino's mission is. And we're not just going to stop at that 1 million. We're going to hit that 10 million, and we're going to hit 100 million by 2050. Not in doubt, especially with you leading the way and making things better all the time. We're looking forward to the future. So I am going to unmute everybody, and I'm going to thank you, Dr. Colin, for your time on here.
Thank you.
Love it every time.
Thank you so much, Carla. You are incredible. You don't need me to tell you that. And all of you, everyone, like you are, don't forget, you're the important part of this cog, because you're the one who makes a change in your household, in your community, in your society. And that's where the meaningful change happens. So I can never thank you enough. It's a privilege to work behind the scenes on all of your behalf. You are the miracle makers. So thank you very much from me and from everyone at Zinzino. And Carla, as always, you're incredible. Love talking to you. You're an amazing human. We need more Carlas as well. Thank you for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Colin. Thank everybody for being on.
Dr. Colin.
Thank you.
From Mexico.
Bye-bye. From Netherlands.
Take a swim in the tub.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye, everybody. Have a great day.